All right, folks, JB here. I'm pumped I finally got my car back out of Hawk. Got in a car accident about a month and a half ago, so I got the Blue Beast out of the shop. And just been working, doing a ton of deals and sell us your house, Houston house buyers and all that. So, and with the radio show, we've been doing Interview an Investor Friday. And in fact, when I was out of town, Tom interviewed an investor every single day that week. So thanks for all you guys that came out and hung out with us on the show. And I got a lot more insight with the number of folks I've been working with. Some of you guys have been working with for years, but it was really fun to have everybody talk about where they came from. And you kind of gloss over it, but when you do it in a radio format, you can get kind of the intimate details. And so what I wanted to show you guys today is the foundation of our business. I've explained this a couple of times, but I don't think I got as much clarity, with exception to some things that have happened in the last couple of days. I shared this on the radio show today. I figured I'd do it on the whiteboard. I actually cleaned the whiteboard and I cleaned all my windows back here, so there's nothing on the walls in here for right now. But what I thought I'd do is clarify why we're successful in this business. And in fact, I could even take it a step further, and if you're not experiencing the success you think you should, this holds a lot of the keys to why that's occurring. So let's get started. Whenever you build a business, there's three things you've got to do. You've got to have a strategy, you have to have a plan, and you've got to have a system to implement these things in. Strategy, plan, system. So when I start talking about these things, folks who've gone to business school are like, I totally understand that. People who have not or have not been exposed to business at this level start to like gloss over and go, oh my gosh, this is so boring. The reality is that if you don't have these three things in place, your business will not be successful. In fact, I'll tell you one of the hallmarks of this is you'll run into buy and hold landlords out in real estate and that were in real estate, let's say in 2009, 2010. They were picking up some great deals, and then all of a sudden as the market became more competitive, values started to rise, they're unable to buy any more rental properties. I know wholesalers that are like that, I know flippers that are like that, and it's not the market that changed. It's the fact that something in this system here, something in this strategy plan system is so goofed up that they're now unable to bring value to the marketplace. And that's really what the ultimate goal here is. You need to bring value to the marketplace. We get paid based on value that we bring. That's why some wholesalers make $5,000 a wholesale deal and others like us make 20, because we bring more value to the marketplace. All right, so everybody cool with that? So strategy, plan, system. This means nothing to most people. So I was trying to figure out, how do I distill this down to its elements where it makes sense to a lot of folks? So here it is. Strategy can be summed up with two words. I want. I want. For example, I want to retire in 5 years. Great. How much cash flow do you need? Now let's build a strategy around that. And you also have to add the when. I want to retire when? 5 years from now. That's the strategy. Next step is the plan. So the plan is I do. What am I going to do every single day to be successful? And you've got to do it at least 6 months. Look, if you're trying to wholesale a deal to make your mortgage next month, or you've got to pay the light bill 2 weeks from now, that's not how to run a business. You need to sort that out, personal finances aside. If you're going to run an enduring enterprise, this is what you've got to do. Strategy is I want, plan is I do, and the system is action. One word. System can be described as action. More importantly, under system, you can write here activities. What does that mean? I get a ton of questions, and I'll post this here in this group, and I'll get a million questions about it. It'll be through personal messaging. Maybe somebody sent a text message. You'll find my email, send me an email, or call me, and they'll say, Jason, you guys bought a whole bunch of houses. And I'm like, yep, we bought some houses. And they'll say, what's the best postcard to send? What's the best list to use? What's the best yellow letter? And they'll say, my marketing strategy is yellow letters. And I'm like, you don't understand business on a fundamental level to be successful. When someone says to me, my business strategy is mailing probate postcards, mailing postcards, knocking on doors is an activity. It's not a strategy. So let's put some real language in here. I want to retire in 5 years. Okay? What do you need for retirement? I need $100K in cash flow. Okay, great. How do you want to do that? I want to buy some rental properties. Great. What do you think you cash flow a rental property? Let's say I cash flow $500 a rental property. Okay? So $500 a month. I need to get to about $10,000 a month, and that's about $100,000 a year, right? It's about 120 grand a year. Might need to pay some taxes, have some business expenses, put some things, retain some of those profits for your business in case you have to do a rehab, or you have a fire and you got to do a rehab before and you got to pay for some expenses before the insurance company pays. In any case, so you think you can buy houses for that cash flow for $500 a month. Great. So how many houses do you need to do $10,000 a month in passive income? Real simple, 20 houses. All right, so you've got to buy 20 houses in 5 years. How do we do that? And why are we asking how do we do? Because we've got what our strategy is. Five years, 20 houses, cash flow $500 a month. We're going to take these over into the planning stage. And what's the planning stage? What do I need to do to buy 20 houses in 5 years? How do you buy 20 houses? Real simple, just like how you eat an elephant. One bite at a time. If I've got 5 years to buy 20 houses, that means I need to buy 4 houses a year. Right? So now the question I always get is, what does it take to buy a house? I'm going to share these numbers with you. It's something we've taught about it before. We talked about it on the radio. But these numbers I don't want to say they're universal. Plus minus 20%, could be as much as double depending on what market you're in. But here's what we see. It takes in direct marketing, so in marketing expense, it takes 60 hours of work, of direct marketing work, or $5,000 in marketing expense. Now, 60 hours. How do you calculate how much time it's going to take to purchase a house? Real simple. That's like door knocking, cold calling, calling FSBOs, doing Craigslist stuff. That's 60 hours of doing that. You do 60 hours of that consistently, you'll buy a house. Or you can spend $5,000 in direct marketing. Direct mail, AdWords, you just name it. Billboards, radio, you do anything, right? So what does that mean? In order for me to buy 4 houses, I have to spend 240 hours marketing, and this could also be, this piece here, the hours component, that's like MLS. Like if you're making offers on MLS, networking with realtors, it's going to take you about 60 hours to buy a deal. So if you're going to buy 4 houses a year, that means you're going to have to spend 240 hours or $20,000 in marketing to buy those 4 houses. Is that everybody following that? So this is the plan. I need to spend better way to put it, I'm going to do 240 hours of marketing, or I'm going to spend $20,000 in direct mail. or AdWords or whatever it is, but I'm going to spend $20,000 in marketing. This is an either or. Can you do a combination of the two? Absolutely. I've done presentations multiple times in front of just about every group in town and nationally over how to mix those things up. Then we go to system. This is the action. So when you're developing, there's a lot of people talk about systems, and I think they believe that a system is a strategy. This right here is not a system. This is what you want. This is how you're going to do it. You know what the telltale sign of a real system is? It's a spreadsheet that looks like this. Real simple. One of my favorite things Jim Rohn used to say is when you've really got a system, a real system in place, you can run your business by a spreadsheet. And what Jim Rohn used to say is, stories don't fit in here. Numbers do. So, for example, let's take this first column. I want to know how much you spend in marketing. That can be hours, it can be money, it can be a combination of the two. So there should be numbers here. 10 hours or 10K, 5 hours. This is, it could be week 1, however you want to set that up. In your system, if you're sending out marketing, if you're spending time networking, cold calling, whatever, you're going to start to see another box get filled, and that is calls. You send out some direct mail, you get some calls back. You do some AdWords, you get some emails and calls back. Callbacks, sorry. What happens next? You do this enough times, you get appointments to go see the house. Once you start making appointments, what happens? What's the next step? You make an offer or you don't make an offer on the house. So now you've got offers. If you're making offers, what happens after you make an offer? Some of those get accepted, so you get contracts. And then what happens after that? Houses bought. This is actually all three of these steps are critical. This is the critical piece because if there's no numbers in here, we don't know how to go back and fix any of this. So when people talk about running a system, my first question is, what is this? What's your cost per buy, your cost per lead? How much marketing have you sent out? How many appointments have you been on? How many calls have you made? How many offers you made? How many offers didn't make? How many contracts you get? How many houses did you buy? 99.9% of real estate investors can't answer those questions. You can't answer that question, you're not running a business. It's that simple. You can't answer these questions, you're not running a business. Start here with what you want. Put together a plan on what you're going to do. And step 3 is, what are the actions or activities you're going to take every single day to meet this strategy or to meet this goal over here. The goal is I want to retire in 5 years with $100,000 a year passive income. Retire. Here we go. This is the simplest way I've found to explain this. And I don't know how many presentations I've been to where there's been all these questions on how do you guys get so successful? How did you build your business? How do you have a good partnership? I'll tell you a classic example. I hear some people say that partnerships suck, and I couldn't disagree more. The problem is that the reason partnerships fall apart is because you and your business partner haven't figured these things out. What's our strategy? What's our plan? What's our system? That's why business partnerships fail. So my advice to you guys, figure these 3 things out. I could talk for days about this stuff. But if you don't have these 3 things sorted, your business will ultimately fail. You know, it's so funny. Somebody says, hey, can you ever guarantee success? And I'm like, well, I can't, but I can guarantee failure. I can absolutely guarantee. If you aren't doing these 3 things, if you don't have them written down, if you don't have the written down goals, the written down strategy, what you want, if you don't have the written down what you're going to do, if you don't have written down what your activities are, you will fail 100% of the time. I mean, I have so much certainty over that. Now, you may be successful over the short term, but long term, you don't figure this out, long-term failure. I mean, if you're not successful as a wholesaler, a landlord, a flipper, it's this. I mean, it's not the market. It's not, oh my gosh, there's so many more competitors in the market, or, you know, I'm just not tall enough, or I'm too fat, or I'm too skinny, or I didn't go to the right school, or I'm not pretty enough. That has nothing to do with it. It is all absolute mental garbage. This is why you're not successful. Because if you're doing this stuff every day, if you're tracking the stuff you're doing every day to meet this goal, you'll meet that goal 100% of the time. But if you're not doing these things, complete waste of time. Just don't even run a business. So I encourage you guys out there, if you're struggling in your business, if you're having a lot of challenges, now don't get me wrong, you still gotta have challenges, absolutely. But this makes things a whole lot easier. I mean, when you're clear on this stuff, man, it's easier. When you're having cash flow problems, like any business does, and you're like, holy cow, are we going to be able to pay for marketing this month? And you can say, well, we spent this much in marketing, we're getting this many calls, we got this many appointments, made this many offers. We don't have the contracts we want in. Well, based on past data, if we've made this many offers, went on this many appointments, got this many calls, and spent this much on marketing, we bought this many houses. It gives you such a level of certainty in an uncertain world, it's incredible. Now, here's the part that people flip out about. If they haven't gone into vapor lock over this, here's the part that really scares people. You do this for 6 months. 6 months straight. 6 months. You commit to it. If you're doing cold calling every day for 2 hours, you do that for 6 months straight. And you fill this thing out to show that month 1 I did, day 1 I did 2 hours calling. Day 2 I did 2 hours calling. Day 3 I did 2 hours cold calling. You do it every single day. A business is a machine. And this is how you structure the machine. And you give the market 6 months before it said that, before you make any changes. Notice in here, here's one of my favorite things. Notice in here, I don't have anything, for example, I've got marketing spent, calls received, and appointments. There's nothing in here that says response rate. Well, if my response rate isn't exactly 2% or 2.6% or 4%, then something's wrong, I need to change my marketing. Nonsense. Absolute, utter nonsense. I'm telling you guys, you set up exactly what you want, you set up the plan by how you're going to do it, and then you go out and execute that system by action. And after 6 months, if you're not getting the results that you want, you got to understand something. Results are a consequence of action. It's a consequence of action. Consequence could be good. Consequence could be bad. If you get 6 months down the line and you're not getting the results you want, then you may need to make some tweaks, not necessarily to the strategy, but you need to make some tweaks to your plan. Here's the problem 99.9% of investors fail to realize. They're not doing this, and they look at their bank balance and they go, well, I'm not making any money. Making money is a result. It's a consequence. But if you're not measuring everything you're doing every single day, at least measuring the stuff that matters, you don't know what is messed up in this group, in this structure. Is it something wrong with the plan? Am I not talking to the right people? Am I not looking at the right houses? Am I not spending enough money in marketing? Am I spending too little in marketing? Am I spending too much in marketing? You don't know. You've got to build this. So find out exactly what you want. And I mean exactly, I'll never forget, this guy came by the office, really just cool dude, follows me on Facebook. He said, hey, can I pop by the office and chat you up about real estate stuff. And I'm like, yeah, sure. He's been in real estate for 10 years, part-time. He works full-time, and then he's got his part-time real estate gig. And he said, man, I've just never, I've done this deal and these types of deals, and my portfolio just is not where I want it to be. And I said, well, what do you want? And he said, I want 100 rental properties. And I said, okay, it's really simple. When do you want to buy? And he said, well, I'd like to have them 5 years. I said, okay, well, that's pretty simple. Let's go back over here. So you want 100 rental properties, 100 properties in 5 years. Okay. Well, that's simple. You just need to buy 20 houses a year. Let's go over here. You got to buy 20 houses a year. Right? Okay, so if you want to buy 20 houses a year, we know it takes 60 hours of work per house, or $5K in marketing. So what's 60 times 20? That's 1,200 hours in direct marketing. 5 times 20, or 100K in direct mail. Or not, I shouldn't say direct mail. In direct. What's the big deal? And then you go over here, what are the things I need to be doing every day? How much am I spending on marketing? How many calls am I getting? How many appointments am I making? How many offers am I making? It's so simple. It really is so simple. The problem is that most real estate investors are not disciplined enough to do this. One of my favorite Jim Rohn quotes is, you must discipline your disappointment. Because there's going to be days that you make these calls and you don't get any, or you make these calls and you don't get any appointments. There may be 2 weeks. You go through, make all these calls, get 0 appointments, 0 appointments, 0 appointments. But that's just part of the gig. That's just part of the job. You just keep doing it. You do it for 6 months. If something's wrong, you go back and fix it. But if you're not tracking any of this stuff, you don't know where you want to go, what you want to be, who you want to hang out with. If you don't know any of that stuff, you're not going to get there. But if you do this, success is coming. Guaranteed that. It's fascinating. This is not like a great, like I hear some people think, one of the things I hear on our radio show sometimes is, well, I'm doing this and this, and this is where I think I'm going to end up. There is a right way to do this and a wrong way. And there's a lot more wrong ways to do this business than there are right ways. That's what we're figuring out. We've been doing this a little over 3 years now. We've bought over 200 houses. And I can tell you there's a lot of wrong ways to do it and only a handful of right ways. This, mega right way to do it. This is running a business. So put your comments or questions below. Would love to hear them. I really hope this makes sense to everybody. I've tried my best to be able to explain this in a way that makes sense to everybody at every level, whether they're a big-time executive or somebody that's just kind of starting out, even like a kid in high school that wants to start buying real estate. So hopefully this makes some sense to you guys. I may make some supplemental videos if y'all ask for them, but I hope you enjoy it. This is what I talked about on the radio show today, because this right here is starting to become my passion, explaining this. Because once you implement something like this, this business is just, you run it like a machine. You know what you put in, and you'll know exactly what you get out. Jay Bible, and put your comments and questions below, and we'll see you later.